Welcome to Between Two Corals, a one dive family podcast presented by SDI, Scuba Diving International. My name is Jason Meany. I'm the Director of Education for SDI, TDI, ERDI, PFI, Scuba Diving International, and its family of brands. I'm going to have Sean Harrison on as a guest with me. Sean is our Vice President, Senior Vice President, and we are going to be talking about diving as a family, having kids that are certified and going and traveling around the world with those individuals and with our families, and just kind of the family aspect of diving. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Sean in, and let's give him a warm welcome. Hey, Sean, welcome.
Hey, Jason. How's it going? Good, thank you.
Good. Yeah, excellent. So you want to give us just kind of a general rundown of what you do with SDI and kind of go from there?
Sure. Yeah, so what I've done with SDI has kind of evolved over the years. I've been with the agency for 24 years now. So I started off doing a little bit of everything in the beginning, membership service type things, certification processing, and so on and so forth. That evolved into where I am now, which is primarily industry relations. I work with all different regulatory bodies around the world, international standards organizations, RSTC, those kind of things. And I also work with our insurance companies or the insurance carriers who provide professional liability, general liability, those kind of things, just to make sure that our members get a fair review of the insurance policy. They know what's available. And if they need to, they can ask me questions. And if it goes above my knowledge base, then I just direct them towards the insurance carriers themselves.
Nice. Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to be talking about diving as a family. I know your kids just got certified pretty well. One of them got certified pretty recently, and then actually two of them got certified pretty recently, last year or so, right?
Yeah, there's a story there.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us.
So the youngest, of course, I mean, our standards allow for us to certify them as young as 10 years old. And so I started both of them pretty young. The oldest, who is now 19, started a long time ago. And just really, it wasn't ready for the academic portion of it. The in-water portion of it, he was 100% good. He had been in swimming pools, and I had taken him on dives. We had started the training. We had started the initial chapters of our training and those kind of things for the academic portion of it. So the skills side of it, he was really solid, and he did a lot of time in the water. But when it came to the academics, he just wasn't ready. So that kind of got shelved for a few years, and then he became ready for it, and he completed all that stuff, and we did a lot of dives. He actually did far more dives than what are required. I want to say he was in the range of, I don't know, 10, 12 dives before I actually certified him as an open water diver. And then, he's done dry suit dives now. He's done all kinds of things. So the youngest, who is now 13, was ready right away. He was ready for the academics. He was ready for the in-water portion of it. He was comfortable in all those aspects, and he got certified a lot faster than his older brother did.
I think that might actually be kind of, because that's basically our story too, like almost the identical thing. Like my oldest is, same thing, great in the water, wonderful in the water, just rock star in the water, and then really wasn't all about the e-learning and all about that, but she's great now, and the twins are all for it now. They are full in. They're 10, they're ready and rearing to go. They're asking to go as much as they possibly can, and we've done a little bit of pool, but nothing crazy yet, so they're ready and rearing to go.
Right, which is counter to what I thought, and it's counter to what I have said to people that first thing is I've always said, and I've maintained, that even though we allow for people to be able to certify at 10 years old, doesn't necessarily mean they're ready. So that was a good example. I had a personal example where I had a child that was 10 years old, grew up in a diving environment. Both my wife and I dive. So that was inevitable. It was going to happen. But he wasn't ready for the academic portion of it. And so that just goes to the point that not all 10-year-olds are ready to dive, because yes, they can take on certain portions of it, but they can't take on all of them. The other part of that is, I've always said, well, kids are in the ripe age. They're in a learning environment. They're in school. They go there 5 days a week. They do all these other things. They should just quickly adjust to the academic side of it, they don't. Not all of them, at least. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
at a 50-50 right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So at what age can kids start? I know we can certify at 10, but when can they start the e-learning? When can they start doing different things? You want to give just a kind of a general rundown of what good practice is and what to expect from an SDI instructor if bringing your kids to get certified?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they can start. We have the Future Buddies program, which allows them to get into swimming pools at 8 and 9 years old. There's minimal academics, there's briefings, there's those kind of things that they have to go through, but they can start in a pool setting, and that's a really good environment for them. And that was where my oldest son was rock solid. When I put him into the swimming pool, he immediately emulated my behavior. He saw that I was neutrally buoyant. He wasn't on the bottom. He maintained neutral buoyancy and stayed right there. So all of that stuff was really good. They're fearless, so that's one
Hmm.
good side of them, or at least mine were. If you told him to pull his mask off and demonstrated it to him, he did it, and there was no issues whatsoever there at all. And that was the same with both of them. So when they saw me do something, they would do it, similar to putting them in dry suits. Uh, you and I dove together with them
Hmm.
in New
Yep.
York, so they
Yeah.
dove in fairly cold water, low visibility in dry suits, and they
Yep.
were comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I think that there's aspects of them, and I'm not saying that all kids are the same,
Mm.
um, but mine certainly, when it came to the practical portion of the training, jumped right in there. No
Yeah.
issues at all.
Yeah. And my twins said like they were so interested. They like going to the pool a little bit, but they were like, "Yeah, I really don't want to get scuba certified." And Layla was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this right off the bat." And they seem to have switched roles. Like the twins are like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go." Um, and the oldest Layla, she like similar experience where we did some skills, and I think one of my biggest challenges is that she was so natural in the water that it was hard to get her to focus on doing skills because she was just chill in the water. Like,
Yep.
okay, yeah, that's great, wonderful. Like one day we were just going around in the deep end, and she flipped over, took her mask off, pulled her reg out, and was blowing bubbles, and then put them back on. And I was just like, oh, okay, I guess you're comfortable. Like that's okay.
Right. Right. And they're in the water, they're doing somersaults.
Yeah,
My oldest is down there blowing bubble rings
yeah,
mid-water.
yeah, yeah.
So that portion of it, they're really it's pretty amazing to watch them there. I don't think I completely answered your
Oh
question.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so when can they start? And so we have the 8 to 9-year-old group, which is our future buddies or program, and that's in a swimming pool. And then they can start their training for an open water diver at 10. Now there's two different ways for the academic portion of it. They can do it online, or they can do it in a classroom thing. If they do it in a classroom, they can start right away, and no issues there whatsoever. They can also do the online portion of it, starting pretty much anywhere. I mean, the U.S. does have some laws, privacy laws regarding children under the age of 13 and those kind of things, but that doesn't seem to be an issue like it was before. I think in the early days when all that happened, there was the biggest concern was really parents giving
Mhm.
their children, or children getting a hold of their parents' credit cards and them racking up big bills
Yeah,
online. Us as an academic institution, they're not purchasing much, if at anything at all. And
so
um,
accessible now, anyways. Any like they
yeah,
can, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if they don't have their parents' credit card, they've probably got it on their Apple Pay, or they've got it
Mhm.
somewhere
Yeah,
else.
they
They're just
can
getting,
order on Amazon just by saying it to Alexa, right? Like,
yeah,
place this
yeah. They're
order.
gonna, where there's a
Yeah,
will, there's a way. They're going to find out how to do that. So
yeah.
yeah, so that was easy, and us as instructors and parents, we're a little bit more fortunate in the fact that if the kid doesn't get it right away, we can just go, that's all right, you're only going to dive with me anyways,
Yeah.
so we're going to continue to dive together. I think
Mhm.
parents who are non-professionals, people who are not in the industry, they still sort of have that. They can find an instructor that they can let their children continue to dive with and do those kind of things, and it'll work out. I think their kids will get it if they're comfortable.
Yeah.
I would never encourage a parent or an instructor to force a child to do something
No,
like
God.
that, because
No.
it's just not a good thing. Because
Mhm.
I mean, even with my sons, who are very comfortable in the water, they lose focus, and
Mhm.
they're not always paying attention to all the things. So even though we've done a lot of dives together, I still have to continue to remind them to check their air pressure, check their depth,
Mhm.
where are you at in the water, navigating all those more
Oh,
complex
yeah.
skills. So Yeah, you know what? I think my 19-year-old, he's still diving with the junior certifications.
Yeah. You got to fix that. Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't want to fix that.
Touche. Yeah. No, I got a transmitter that like we make sure that both of them are represented on my computer, and I get close. It loses communication every once in a while, but I get close and check to see where she's at. But
Yeah.
She's a rock star at this point in time. I mean, she's gonna be turning 15 soon. She's 14 now, and just yeah. So very happy with that.
Maybe that's also a difference.
Mhm.
Mine are both boys.
Yeah, touche.
So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and she's obsessed with night diving, obsessed with, she was a wreck hound for a minute and a bottle hound for a minute, and now
Yeah.
onto reefs again. She saw some bioluminescence and just
Right.
is, she'd do a night dive without a light if she could. Like
Yeah.
she won't turn the thing on. You got to ask her to every once in a while. Like, I need to see where you're at. Like, I need to see you. So
Put little strobes on her back or something.
yeah, that's about it. I got the camera and hanging out and doing some stuff, and she's got a camera. But other than that, she'll turn the light on if you give her a camera. That's what she will do.
Okay.
So one of the things we run into, and this is even with significant others and with families, is from an instructor standpoint. From teaching, I used to do these things, but also with my own kids. And just curious if you experience the same things, is that they can become reliant on the adult or another adult, or reliant on different people. Did you see that at all? And did you take any steps to combat that? Or do you have any stories of dealing with that?
So, I mean, my philosophy, not only with my sons, but also with any divers, is unless there's special circumstances, you have to be capable of doing it all on your own. So I never, my thing is, we do a lot of other stuff. We have a lot of other activities as a family, and we always, both my wife and I, always encourage complete independence. If you can carry it, carry it. If you can put it together, put it together. If you can do it, you do it. And you don't bring the parents into it unless you have you need help. And what we always said from when they were really young is, when you ask for help, it doesn't mean you're asking somebody to do it. You're asking them for assistance. So you're still going to be part of that process. So not really. I mean, both of my boys, they didn't become dependent on us. They, during the learning phases of it and showing them how to do stuff, we were always there to make sure that they understood it, how to put the gear together, where to put the weights, checking everything and making sure it's checked, doing the buddy checks with each other, on me or on my wife, and making sure everything was good. So, but they never developed a dependency on us.
Good. We were fairly similar. Layla could pretty much do everything on her own. Twins haven't gone through it yet, but we'll see. I don't really have any issues with them. But one of the things I did is I actually found another instructor, because parent child. I taught Layla most of the stuff, but then I went ahead and made sure, hey, do some of these things with this other instructor, and make sure you basically run through all the skills with this other instructor. She's good. Layla's great. Go ahead. Run through all the skills really quick, as almost like a refresher course before I take you to open water, just to make sure that you are seeing it from somebody else.
Right.
And that was really good. She came out of that water session really good and confident, and and she took it a little more seriously. She was also a little bit older by that point in time, but she definitely took it a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, that could have gotten me over the academic barrier too.
Yeah.
I could have, in both of them, really, in just getting them to do it with another instructor, that portion of the training, and having it in there, because they do it in school. I keep going back to the school portion of it. They have teachers there that force them to do things. This is what you need to do. This is when you have to do it. And it eventually gets done. So maybe I should have deferred that part of the training over to someone else.
Yeah. And that's the difference now, right? Like between yours, the age bracket there is similar to our age bracket situation, where the twins are doing their e-learning on their own, and researching it out, right? To go ahead and do it. So, but also the oldest was just on the cusp of like e-learning being like a regular thing, where they're still like, all their stuff is on the computer. They've got computers. So they're like, oh, I'll just grab they grab their iPads that they normally watch YouTube or whatever. And then they're like, meh, I'll just do my e-learning instead. I'll just grab my mobile device and do whatever. Like, they don't have phones or anything, but they've got, their tablets, and they're like, I'm bored. I'm going to do my e-learning. Where Layla was, grab the laptop. Let's sit down with the laptop. Let's go ahead and do that. So, but so have you done much diving with the boys? Like, where have you guys gone? What have you guys done?
The oldest, he's done We've done some of the lakes here locally in New England. And they enjoy the freshwater dives. He's been to Mexico, and he's dove in Hawaii, the youngest, and up on the St. Lawrence Seaway in New York with you. And then the youngest he's dived in the lakes here. Yeah, well, the only thing he didn't do was Mexico.
Okay.
He hasn't been out of the country diving, but he has they do enjoy. Oh, and we dove also on the coast, along the coast here in Maine. We dove out at some of the dive sites out there. So they've done, unfortunately, a lot of cold water stuff.
Yeah,
most of their.
Fortunately, yeah, I like that cold water stuff.
Yeah. The Hawaii was amazing for them. They really liked that because that was their first time really getting to see big critters, dolphins, big turtles, things like that. They got to see those kind of things, and all just the rich colors that are out there. So that was a great experience for them.
Nice. Do they have a spot that they really are talking about that they want to go? Do they have anything there that's on their radar? Or are they kind of chill about the whole thing?
I don't think that they really. No, they really haven't expressed any real interest. Of course, they want to go to the places where my wife and I lived. We lived in Fiji, and they'd love to go there, probably because of all the things we've talked about, all the dives that we've done there, and the stuff that you see. And if you really want to get into big critters, that's one of the places to do it. I mean, if you don't see a shark there, your eyes are closed during the dive. And not uncommon to have manta rays or whales or anything else around there. So of course they've heard those stories, and I think they want to be part of that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That was one of the best experiences diving with Layla, as we were in Mexico diving with Russell divers, and we didn't see the shark the entire time. We had just missed it when we dropped. Layla had a little bit of an ear issue, I think. So we dropped just after where the shark kind of hung out. It's that nurse shark that's on the house reef there. And so we missed it. And she was talking about in the guide, like we had dove the entire week. And the guide was like, "You missed it?" And you're like, "Yeah, she took a minute for her to get down. We missed the shark because we dropped with the current just past it." And he was like, "You guys got gas?" We're like, "Yep." "All right, we're going to make this happen." So he had the captain stop for us for a minute and said, "All right, Layla's going to go down, check out the shark. We got plenty of gas in the cylinder. Like, let's go." We drops. We just did a quick plunge, and it's like 20 feet, if that, 15 feet where that shark is, and hung out with the shark for a second and came back up, and she got to check that one off. So she was super stoked about that. So,
and I think that was the same shark that my oldest saw when we were in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
It was like very first dive. And there's a nurse shark, so that was a good experience.
Yeah, that's the start of their dive there. Drop down, check out the nurse shark, and continue on. Layla was just a little bit late to the game, so yeah. It's interesting. It's one of those things where, because it's in the household, right? It becomes like I guess we'll do it eventually. Like, it's just a thing we're gonna do. That's I don't have to push for it. I know it's gonna happen. Similar thing. Do the kids have a favorite spot? Do they have one that they talk about a lot that they've done?
Well, of course, the oldest is Mexico.
It's out of St. Lawrence because he got to hang out. Well, I guess he got to hang out with me in Mexico too. So I
did
just assume that that's part of it. Yeah.
So you're the big attraction I see there.
The big critter.
So I mean, that was his, and of course he rubs that into his little brother. Like, I got to dive in Mexico thing.
Yep.
I think they both just absolutely loved Hawaii, just because of the whole environment and everything that was around that. Although the youngest, who is more into fishing and stuff, really loves the freshwater lakes here, because he likes being able to see that environment and see the freshwater fish that are in there, because of course he wants to try to catch them.
Yeah, it makes the connection too. Like, now you got a better idea of where they sit on that.
Yeah. You're seeing their environment.
I see how there's a structure there. I see how they hang out around that structure. I'm gonna fish a little bit different.
Yeah, and diving in freshwater, just like salt, sometimes those freshwater fish do come up and they approach you. They're just as curious as saltwater fish are, and they'll come up and want to see you. And that's the bass and the trout and all the perch and those kind of things. Yeah. They're curious, and especially just like saltwater, if you stir up the bottom, they're looking for stuff to eat. So so he enjoys that part of it too. So the freshwater lakes here where we dive, it's one of the big ones, and he enjoys diving in that thing.
Yeah, I was doing a deep technical warm-up dive for a couple of their dives, and warm-up dive with thermocline. It wasn't very warm, but preparation dive, if you will, and got down nice and deep, and there was that freshwater trout that was down there. Like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't know. What are
Yeah.
you doing here? There's nothing here. It's silt. Like, we're just trying to like work out equipment issues and get back up. So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's very interesting. Layla, like, she just loves. She enjoys the St. Lawrence a lot. She, we go out with hunts diving, and they really take care of her and make sure that she gets some experience there. And it's they do a lot for her to make sure she's happy, but
Right.
it's the kids thing, right? They just want to take care of the kids. They enjoy kids. Same thing, family thing, right? So it's get those kids out there and let them see the cool stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, and it is fun. It's enjoyable to have them on the dives because
Yeah.
you do see that energy and that enthusiasm that's in there, and that fearless nature that they have.
Yeah. Watching them, like when we were in Bon Air last year with the twins, I took everybody out night snorkeling on the first night just so that all the kids could go out and like we all kind of just
And
like
feed the
made a group.
tarpon.
Feed the tarpon and the bioluminescence, and they just
Yeah.
were raving about, oh, I see this, and like all those little tiny bait fish that are, little fry that are hitting into you, and they just it's a different thing seeing a kid experience that whole thing,
Yeah.
especially when
Oh,
it's
yeah.
your kids, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, do you guys have any trips planned?
And we don't, not right now. Yeah, I was going to just finish that, and especially when it like closes the loop for them on the stories. So they've heard all the stories from us for all these dives and years we've been doing all this stuff, and finally they get to experience what you're talking about. So no, we don't have any trips planned right now that I'm aware of. Yeah, I can't think of any right now. Not any dive trips.
Any place you want to take them that you specifically? I mean, I think you kind of let the cat out of the bag on that, but
What were you talking about, Fiji? Yeah, geez, I'd love to get them to Fiji. That would be the downside to diving in a place like that, especially for them, is where do they go after that? Then you have to teach them to appreciate every dive site. Like every dive site is unique. Every dive site has its own thing, and you just need to appreciate where you are. And it was one of the things. I lived in Hawaii for a year, and one of the things we always had to talk about with people, they'd come out to Hawaii after diving in other parts of the South Pacific or even in the Caribbean to a certain extent, and they'd be like, there's not a lot of corals here. There's not a lot of this. I said, yeah, but look at the geological formations. You're looking at things that are freshly formed. This is brand new. And I think the number was like 32 or 35% of all the fish that you're looking at right now are only here. You'll never see them anywhere else in the world. They are only here in Hawaii. And so that I guess that's one of the downsides of ever taking them to a place like Palau or like Fiji is like you can bring them anywhere else. And I traveled around and lived in the Caribbean for, I don't know how many years that was. That was 5 years, 6 years, something like that. And when I went to the Pacific for the first time, it just in my memory, I was like, the Caribbean's dead compared to this. Just the colors alone were so mind blowing. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to take them to a big place like that. Maybe I would like to get them to Bon Air because I'd love them to see the freedom of diving in Bon Air and just being able to drive down the road, throw some tanks in your car and drive down the road, get off at a yellow rock and go for a dive, or any time of the day. You just even on the local reef there, you just grab a tank, go for a dive.
Yeah, that's our situation. Like they're spoiled rotten from they've taken to Bon Air multiple times. We go almost every other year, and that's their experience because it's easy to teach them, right?
Yeah,
it's like you said, it's easy to get in the water. We don't have to worry too much about boats. It's a nice way for kids to get in and get involved, and they just love Bon Air. They ask to go back all the time.
I mean, you have nice clear water, you have good marine life, you've got great environmental conditions because the wind is rarely ever going to. I mean, a bad day of chop for them is like a 1 foot chop on the. And there's really no water movement. There's no current to speak of on the side of the island where most of the diving is done.
Right.
And then the convenience factor of it. So it kind of hits all the sweet spots in that place.
Yeah, that's their favorite spot. The twins are going to get certified in Curacao this summer, but we're going to finish them up there. But they were hoping to go back to Bon Air. We went last year, so we're not going to go back to back on that. But
yeah, I've never dived in Curacao, but Bon Air I have.
Similar, but yeah, they loved Mexico. They really enjoy Mexico. The twins did snorkeling, but Layla did some diving down there. But yeah, they really enjoyed Mexico. Same spot that your oldest went. So yeah. but it's a great spot too. So
Yeah.
really enjoyable. Layla's big into wrecks, the shipwrecks. So she's, Hilma Hooker was her thing there. She loves that.
Well, that's how I started. I mean, wrecks are what got me into technical diving. My initial days of diving was, again, freshwater. It was quarries and things, and loved doing all those things. Would dive in any body of water that I could. But then when I saw wrecks and I started getting to the deeper depths, that's what got me in the, in the, kind of the early days of technical diving, and that's what got me in there. So it's easy to see, and I don't know what it is that draws people to wrecks. Maybe it's because it's so foreign, and there's a level of tragedy and drama that's associated with that wreck being on the bottom.
It's a story,
which is
there,
odd,
right?
because there is, which is, it's a little odd because some of those were sunk on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like there was any tragedy or drama. They were just sank there to be an attraction.
Yeah. That's but the whole idea of the story, I mean, we're drawn to water in general, and they the pirates and all that fun stuff, and that's I see a lot of kids, they hear about the Titanic when they're younger and stuff like that, so they get pretty obsessed with that. So
maybe it's the out of context aspect of it too. Like that doesn't belong down here, and that belongs up above. And being able to explore it in a foreign environment, so you're no longer walking around and you're floating around through it. And
I don't know, we'll have to ask them.
I don't know either.
See why they like it, and I'm sure they'll tell, I don't know, or grunt at us in some general grunting fashion. So we're at that phase now.
Or you get that bruh.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
like, why are you asking that question?
Yep. Have they taken many more courses? I mean, did they, that you've taken them through and done some things? I mean, I've been with them a good portion of the time, but have they taken anything extra?
Well, I mean, the dry suit, so they did that. And then I think we did some nitrox stuff with them. I don't think I ever certified them in nitrox, but they did go through the nitrox portion of it. They've analyzed cylinders and log cylinders and done those things with it, and done some of that. And of course, gone through all of the academic, but they've never formally completed the academic portion of it. So I may have just committed to a standards violation there, but the I don't know. So they've done those kind of things, and I'm always working on them with navigation, whether it's on land or underwater, just so that they know where they're at, but nothing formal there.
Yeah, natural navigation, looking back, making sure that you look back. Because it looks different on the way back.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. My oldest has taken a lot of different classes. She just was. It was interesting. We struggled at first with all the academics, and now she's like, next one, like not even for card collecting, for like I just want to learn more about this stuff. Like, okay, cool. I do put some barriers up though. When she's like, I want to do this dive, I go, oh, you got to do the e-learning, and I got to teach you how to do it. So you're not taking on that fun thing unless you've done the academics to learn how to do the fun thing. So but she's super happy about that. But they are very interesting individuals overall when it comes to that.
Yeah, and again, I think that comes down to they have access to us, so we're the ones who are going to be there with them all the time. It's not like they're going to go out and dive on their own right now. I'm not even sure that my oldest would even want to. I think he'd probably still want to. He's like, hey, Dad, I want to go for a dive, and he'd still want to. Hopefully, he'd still want to go for a dive with me, and to have me there. And again, maybe that is a dependency that's there, but it also establishes that comfort level with him, so he's really comfortable.
Him and Layla flew the coop in St. Lawrence.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they went on another dive together.
They did their own thing.
Yep. So capable.
And they made it back to the same spot where they went into. So that's a great thing.
Spot. Yeah. Yes. There's a lot of variability there. They could end up in Canada.
They could have. Or way downriver.
Way downriver. Jeez. So I think we kind of covered everything with the kids. I'd love to chat with them a little bit more about stuff maybe in the coming future. I don't know if they would be willing to.
Maybe they'd want to be on here. Maybe they'd want to get on here and talk about their own experience and see, so you can hear it directly from them.
I think that would be really cool.
I'll let you draw that. See, so here I will delegate that off to you.
Okay.
You can draw that information out of them, because
I will make that happen. I'll chat with them if you're willing on letting them jump on here, and they're willing to jump on. We can make that happen. Why not? So yeah, cool. So maybe that will be our next one. So
All right.
Go ahead and take a look at that. So
then you can get their perspective on all
exactly. Right, that's a good
this
transition.
and see where I was wrong.
Exactly. I'm sure they'll tell us all the things we did wrong. So, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on here, but thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your time today, Sean.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you in a minute. Thanks everybody for listening. I really enjoyed that. It was great talking to Sean, talking about the kids diving. If you are watching on YouTube, there is a like and follow button off on the side here. I'm not sure where we're going to put it. We're going to put it on one of those two sides there, but there'll be a like and follow button there. Go ahead and hit that there, and you'll be able to see all these other ones. We are going to be putting these on as regular podcasts, so you can go ahead and get it where all podcasts are found, and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and things like that. So you should be able to get that in all the different areas there, as well as watching these videos on YouTube. And these are going to be posted up on our blogs with kind of a summary also. So thanks again for watching Between Two Corals, a One Dive family podcast presented by SDI. Again, my name is Jason Meany. My guest was Sean Harrison. Thank you very much for everything. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care. Cheers.